There is a moment in every strategist's life when the illusion collapses. When you finally see that people aren't moved by truth, loyalty, or reason. They are moved by pressure, perception, and fear. And in that moment, you either wake up and step into power, or you fall back into the crowd and pretend you never understood the game. The first law begins there: never reveal the full depth of your intelligence. The world is built on hierarchies, spoken and unspoken, and nothing threatens a fragile mind more than someone who sees too clearly. People tolerate strength until it mirrors their weakness. They accept intelligence until it exposes their ignorance. This is why the wise cloak their sharpness. They speak slowly when they could speak swiftly. They ask questions they already know the answers to. They play unassuming so that others reveal themselves. The wolf who growls too early starves. The wolf who observes in silence eats first. True power grows in the shadows of underestimation. The second law emerges from a darker truth: control perception, never reality. Reality is too dense, too chaotic, too resistant to brute force. But perception bends, perception shifts. Perception decides who rises and who disappears. A ruler loses, not because he is weak, but because his enemies convince the public he is weak. A leader wins, not because he is righteous, but because he convinces others his victory is inevitable. Understand this, and you stop fighting unnecessary battles. You start shaping the mirror everyone else looks through. Every gesture becomes intentional. Every silence becomes a message. Every presence becomes a signal. You begin to curate the image that protects you, elevates you, and blinds the world to the angles they are not meant to see. The strong shape perception because they know perception shapes everything. The third law is the one most people never master: conceal your motives until the final moment. Humans read patterns, they sniff out intention, and the second they understand where you are going, they will try to block you, sabotage you, or outrun you. Even those who claim to support you will turn into obstacles once they realize your path threatens their comfort. This is why true strategists behave like water. They flow in unpredictable directions. They appear passive when they are preparing. They show disinterest when they are measuring. They advance only when the outcome is already secure. Moving openly invites resistance. Moving invisibly creates inevitability. What people cannot predict, they cannot stop. These three laws form the spine of every power structure. They're not moral, they're not virtuous, they are simply the architecture of human behavior laid bare. Hide your sharpness so others expose theirs. Shape perception so you never have to fight reality head-on. Conceal your motives so your path remains unobstructed. Those who violate these laws become predictable. Predictability is vulnerability, and vulnerability invites domination. Power doesn't reward honesty, it rewards strategy. The fourth law grows from a truth people pretend not to understand. Relationships are not built on sincerity, they are built on leverage. Affection fades, promises rot, but leverage remains. Leverage is the silent weight that makes people comply without force, agree without liking you, support you without loyalty. To those who seek power, leverage is oxygen. You collect it quietly. Information others hide, weaknesses they deny, patterns they repeat. You never weaponize it prematurely. You let it rest like a blade under your cloak, unseen but undeniable. Those who rely on kindness alone become slaves to the moods of others. Those who hold leverage command obedience without ever raising their voice. Influence is not earned. Influence is engineered. The fifth law is even colder. Never fight battles that do not move you closer to your objective. Most people exhaust themselves in emotional wars, proving they're right, defending their ego, correcting the foolish. These are the traps of the weak. Every battle drains energy, time, attention, and in the world of power, attention is currency. The strategist lets ignorance speak. He lets fools argue. He lets trivial conflicts burn out on their own. He saves his fire for the moments that reshape the landscape. To waste strength on the insignificant is to hand victory to the insignificant. The powerful choose their battles the way a surgeon chooses where to cut, precisely, ruthlessly, without hesitation. Strategy is not about winning more fights. It is about needing fewer. The sixth law is where most people fail completely. Create distance when necessary, not attachment. Attachment blinds. It softens your judgment. It turns the hunter into the hunted because he becomes emotionally entangled with what he should observe. People cling to those who drain them, defend those who betray them, and sacrifice themselves for those who would never do the same. This is emotional suicide disguised as loyalty. The powerful understand the value of detachment, not coldness, clarity. They know when to step back, when to disappear, when to remove their energy so others feel the vacuum they took for granted. Distance exposes truth faster than confrontation. When you step away, people reveal who they are. They expose what they value. They show you exactly where you stand without a single word being exchanged. Detachment is not the absence of feeling, it is the presence of self-control. These three laws, leverage, selective conflict, strategic distance, form the second tier of dominance. They shift you from reactive to calculating, from emotional to composed, from vulnerable to untouchable. The weak chase validation. The powerful accumulate advantage. And advantage, once built, becomes a fortress no one can storm. Power does not come from fighting. It comes from positioning. The seventh law cuts deeper than people are willing to admit. Master the art of unpredictability. Predictable behavior is a gift to your enemies. It gives them a map of your mind, a forecast of your reactions, a blueprint of your weaknesses. Most people live in patterns, habitual responses, rehearsed emotions, familiar routines. Anyone watching them for long enough can anticipate their next move. And once someone can predict you, they can control you. That is the quiet truth behind manipulation. It begins with expectation. The powerful break this pattern. They interrupt the rhythm others rely on. They refuse to react in the expected way. When others provoke them, they remain calm. When others flatter them, they stay neutral. When others think they have read them perfectly, they pivot in a new direction. Unpredictability unbalances the mind. It creates tension, doubt, fear. It forces others to think twice, hesitate, second-guess every assumption, and hesitation is the graveyard of opposition. When people cannot predict you, they cannot prepare for you. The strategist is not erratic. He is unreadable. There is a difference. Unpredictability is not chaos. It is controlled ambiguity. It is the shadow that shifts shape just before the hunter aims his arrow. The eighth law unravels a more brutal truth. Never give someone the emotional weapons that can destroy you. Humans collect vulnerabilities the way spies collect intelligence. Every secret, every confession, every moment of softness becomes potential leverage. They may not weaponize it immediately. They may act trustworthy, loyal, supportive. But when interests shift, when resentment grows, when envy awakens, those same details will be turned against you with absolute precision. This is the hidden economy of information. Your weaknesses are currency, and the world trades ruthlessly. The wise reveal nothing essential. They speak, but they do not expose. They connect, but they do not unravel. They share stories, but never the core. They let others talk until their logic collapses from the weight of their own noise. Meanwhile, they observe patterns, triggers, desires, fractures. Every interaction becomes reconnaissance, and when the moment comes to make a decisive move, they act with full knowledge, while the other side remains blind. To give your vulnerabilities away is to surrender control of your future. To protect them is to own the narrative of your life. The ninth law is the hinge on which all power turns. Understand that influence grows not from kindness or dominance, but from emotional calibration. The ruler who cannot adjust his presence becomes a caricature of strength or softness. Too aggressive, and he creates enemies. Too gentle, and he invites disrespect. Too visible, and he becomes a target. Too distant, and he becomes irrelevant. Power is a balance that shifts constantly, and the strategist adapts with precision. He knows when to speak and when to fall silent, when to intimidate and when to reassure, when to retreat and when to strike. This is the art most people never refine because they cling to fixed identities. "This is who I am," they declare, as if rigidity were a virtue. But rigidity is the death of influence. The powerful adjust their temperature to the room, not to please but to control. They mirror enough to build resonance, then separate enough to build authority. Their presence feels intentional, never accidental. Even their silence carries weight, because it is calibrated, measured, deliberate. Emotional calibration is not manipulation, it is mastery of self, and the one who masters himself becomes unreadable, unshakable, and unforgettable. These three laws, unpredictability, strategic privacy, emotional calibration, form the mind's armor. They make you difficult to decipher, impossible to exploit, and dangerous to confront. They turn every encounter into a psychological terrain where you are the one setting the rules. Predictability is surrender. Oversharing is self-sabotage. Emotional rigidity is a cage. Power belongs to the one who controls the atmosphere, not the one who pleads for understanding. The 10th law pierces through the soft illusions people build around themselves. Cultivate an aura that exceeds your actual strength. Human beings do not respond to reality, they respond to the myth around reality. A reputation is a weapon far sharper than any action. Before a man speaks, people feel his presence. Before he enters a room, his name enters first. Before he makes a move, his perceived capability shapes how others behave. This is why the powerful spend more time shaping their aura than explaining themselves. They let rumors do the heavy lifting. They allow silence to build tension. They let mystery become a second skin. A man with a strong aura doesn't have to fight. Others hesitate long before they even think of challenging him. They wonder how deep his mind goes. They speculate on his connections, his knowledge, his temperament. They fear the consequences of underestimating him. The strategist knows the truth. People obey shadows more readily than they obey commands. A strong aura is a psychological fortress, impenetrable, intimidating, unspoken. Once built, it works on your behalf even when you say nothing at all. And nothing is more Machiavellian than winning by presence alone. The 11th law exposes an uncomfortable reality. Learn to use absence as a tool of power, not merely presence. Weak men cling. They are always accessible, always available, always seeking recognition. Their constant presence dilutes their value. Familiarity breeds contempt, but overexposure breeds invisibility. People stop seeing what is always in front of them. Attention is a scarce resource, and the powerful guard it with absolute discipline. Strategic absence creates scarcity, and scarcity creates value. When you withdraw your attention, people recalibrate their behavior. They question their assumptions. They notice the void. They feel the weight of your silence more intensely than they ever felt your words. Absence forces others to confront their dependence, their desires, their insecurities. It exposes who truly respects you and who merely enjoys your presence for convenience. Absence is not retreat, it is a recalibration of power. when used wisely, disappearance becomes dominance. When you return, the shift is unmistakable. You are no longer someone they overlook. You are someone they fear losing again. The 12th law is the one that defines the difference between temporary dominance and lasting control. Never allow others to dictate your emotional climate. The weak are puppets of their environment. They react to every insult, every gesture, every shift in mood around them. Their inner state is a mirror of external forces, and because of that, they are predictable, manipulable, and easy to contain. If someone can provoke you, they can guide you. If they can unsettle you, they can delay you. If they can flatter you, they can disarm you. Emotional reactivity is the leash that binds most people into quiet servitude. The powerful sever the leash. They cultivate a stability that does not bend to external winds. Their emotional tone is self-generated, not borrowed. This is why they appear intimidating even when calm, because their calm cannot be penetrated. People sense that nothing they do can throw such a person off balance, and this creates a psychological hierarchy. The one who controls his inner world controls the outer world indirectly. He becomes the anchor in every conversation, the reference point in every conflict, the gravitational force in every interaction. Others orbit him without realizing they're trapped in his field of influence. These 3 laws, your aura, your absence, your emotional climate, form the architecture of psychological dominance. They are not loud. They do not draw attention. They operate beneath the surface, reshaping the behavior of everyone around you long before they recognize what is happening. Power at this level is not expressed. It is felt. It is not performed. It is perceived. It is not fought, for it is embodied. The strong project myth. Withdraw strategically and radiate calm that cannot be breached. The weak explain themselves, cling to presence, and react like leaves in the wind. The world bends to the one who cannot be moved. The 13th law exposes a psychological truth most people will never confront. Power is not gained by being agreeable, but by being necessary. People respect what they depend on. They value what they cannot replace. They protect what they fear losing. If you want influence, stop chasing approval and start becoming indispensable. Be the mind they consult, the force they rely on, the presence they cannot function without. The agreeable man is liked, but ignored. The necessary man is respected and feared, even by those who dislike him. Dependence is the hidden engine of loyalty, not affection, not shared values, not moral alignment. People align themselves with whoever sustains their sense of security, identity, stability, or ambition. The strategist knows this and builds value that cannot be mimicked. He specializes until no one can substitute him. He cultivates skills others lack. He understands dynamics others ignore. He becomes the axis around which smaller minds revolve. Once people need you, their choices shrink, their resistance softens, their pride bends under its own weight. You don't command them, they command themselves in your favor. A man becomes powerful the moment others realize their life runs smoother with him than without him. Necessity is the crown no one can steal. The 14th law reveals another darker mechanism. Learn to detect hidden intentions long before they surface. Humans rarely speak their true motives. They disguise them under courtesy, loyalty, or softness. But intention leaks through behavior. Watch how someone reacts to your success. Observe what they do when you struggle. Notice who becomes silent when you speak truth. These cracks reveal the architecture of their soul. Every ally contains a shadow. Every friend contains a silent ambition. Every admirer contains an envy waiting for a moment of weakness. The strategist reads beneath the words, beneath the gestures, beneath the surface calm. The weak listen to what people say, The powerful observe what people cannot hide. Hesitation, micro-jealousy, forced smiles, excessive praise, strategic silence. These are not random emotions, they are signals. When decoded, they give you a map of who stands with you, who stands against you, and who waits in the middle for the winner. Power is rarely destroyed by open enemies. It is destroyed by the quiet resentment of those too cowardly to declare their opposition. The wise man sees betrayal before betrayal sees itself. He withdraws trust slowly, quietly, without accusation. He shifts his alliances like a general repositioning troops before the enemy even realizes a war is coming. Foresight is the antidote to treachery. The 15th law is the one the world punishes you for mastering control the tempo of every interaction. Tempo is the pulse of power. He who sets the pace controls the outcome. Speak too quickly and you reveal eagerness. Respond too fast and you reveal emotional investment. Move too hastily and you telegraph insecurity. Most people crumble the moment they are pressured. They rush decisions, over-explain themselves, or abandon strategy for relief. This is why seasoned manipulators apply pressure deliberately. They accelerate the rhythm until the other person breaks under the weight of urgency. The strategist does the opposite. He slows the moment down. He dictates silence, not speed. He chooses the timing of every move, when to speak, when to withdraw, when to escalate, when to ignore. Slowing the tempo forces the other person into discomfort. They begin to overcompensate. They reveal more than intended. They negotiate against themselves. They show their emotional cards. When a man cannot control pace, he cannot control outcome. But tempo is not always slow. It is controlled. Sometimes you accelerate to destabilize. Sometimes you freeze the moment until others suffocate in the waiting. The key is simple. Never allow anyone else to dictate time. If they set the pace, they own the battle. If you set it, the outcome bends to your will. These three laws, necessity, foresight, tempo, form the spine of strategic control. They shape how others behave around you, how they reveal themselves to you, and how they surrender power without understanding why. This is not loud dominance. It is silent architecture. You become the frame within which others must operate. People follow the one they need. They fear the one who sees too clearly. They obey the one who controls time. The 16th law exposes the truth most people spend their entire lives avoiding. Never allow yourself to be read in full. A fully transparent person is a conquered person. The moment someone understands your emotional triggers, your deepest fears, your longings, your moral boundaries, your habits, they have a map of your mind. And a map is all a strategist needs to navigate you, manipulate you, and ultimately control you. The tragic flaw of the ordinary man is his desire to be understood. He confesses freely. He shares openly. He reveals himself in the name of connection, unaware that he is placing the keys to his own kingdom into the hands of others. The powerful do the opposite. They reveal fragments, never the whole. They show reflections, never the core. They allow others to think they've understood something profound, yet they always keep the final layer hidden beneath the surface. They know that the unknown generates tension, curiosity, caution. When people cannot fully read you, they become careful with you. They hesitate. They grow uncertain. And uncertainty is the soil in which power grows. A man with no mystery is a man with no leverage. The strategist ensures his inner world remains a labyrinth, visible from the outside, but impossible to enter. People fear what they cannot decode, and fear, once awakened, becomes obedience. The 17th law exposes a far more ruthless truth. Divide the alliances around you before they ever begin to unite against you. Human nature gravitates toward coalitions, Small groups, whispered alliances, subtle partnerships formed in the shadows of envy, ambition, or convenience. These alliances are the seeds of rebellion. They create unity among people who might otherwise remain indifferent to one another. And unity, even in the hands of the weak, becomes a weapon of disruption. The strategist prevents unity long before it forms, not by confrontation, but by subtle architecture. He gives different individuals different impressions of his intentions. He varies his tone, his promises, his proximity. He ensures that no two people hold the same version of him. This creates disparity, tiny gaps in understanding that grow into quiet distrust. He praises someone in a way that unsettles another. He shares information unevenly. He creates uncertainty about who holds his favor. The result is simple. No one knows where they truly stand, so no one fully aligns with anyone else. They become fragmented, competitive, wary, and as long as they remain divided, they cannot unite. Power thrives when others stay separate. The throne is safest when no one in the court trusts each other enough to challenge the king. The 18th law is the most psychologically devastating of all. Learn to wound without revealing your hand. A direct attack is clumsy. It exposes your intentions, ignites retaliation, and invites counter-strategy. The wise never strike openly unless the enemy is already defeated. Instead, they damage indirectly. They plant doubts. They shift narratives. They pull small threads in someone's life until the fabric unravels naturally. A word spoken in the right ear, a seed of uncertainty dropped in passing, a gesture that destroys loyalty between others without implicating you. This is not cruelty, it is precision. The powerful understand that reputation is fragile, relationships are brittle, and insecurity is explosive. They tap lightly on these pressure points and let human psychology do the rest. A single ambiguous phrase can shatter an alliance. A carefully timed silence can create panic. A subtle omission can ignite conflict between others while you stand untouched. Destruction does not require force, it requires influence. The strategist's attack leaves no fingerprints, only outcomes. His enemies fall without knowing who loosened the ground beneath them. This is the dark elegance of Machiavellian warfare, victory without exposure. These three laws, opacity, fragmentation, invisible strike, form the mind of a true power holder. They transform you from a participant into an architect. While others speak impulsively, you manage information like a weapon. While others form friendships blindly, you structure their relationships like pieces on a board. While others confront directly and burn themselves in the flames, you guide events from the shadows, untouched by the chaos you engineered. The open man is exploited. The united group becomes dangerous. The visible attack invites revenge, but the unreadable man is feared. The divided group becomes harmless. The invisible hand becomes unstoppable. The 19th law is brutal in its simplicity. Never reveal the full extent of your ambition until the moment of execution. Ambition is a dangerous flame. Once exposed, it attracts wind, attention, envy, and attack. The world tolerates your growth as long as it believes it understands your limits. Once it senses you intend to rise beyond your assigned place, it shifts subtly at first, then violently. People sabotage not because you've harmed them, but because the shadow of your potential threatens the comfort of their mediocrity. This is why the powerful move with quiet inevitability. Their goals are buried beneath layers of misdirection, silence, and simplicity. They downplay their reach, soften their presence, and disguise their intentions with humility that disarms suspicion. They let others underestimate them until underestimation becomes dependency. They let their enemies relax until the landscape grows soft. And then, when the moment is mathematically inevitable and resistance has rotted from neglect, they strike, not loudly, not dramatically, just decisively, so decisively that the world forgets it ever doubted their destiny. The strategist knows ambition is safest when camouflaged. Growth is strongest when unseen. The highest ascent is achieved by the one no one noticed climbing. The 20th law exposes a truth that destroys the naive. Always maintain the capacity for calculated cruelty, even if you rarely use it. Power is not sustained by kindness. It is sustained by the quiet understanding that you can be dangerous if required, not reckless, not violent. Dangerous meaning you are not the one who breaks under pressure, you are the one who becomes sharper. Dangerous meaning you can impose consequences without hesitation. Dangerous meaning your boundaries are fortified, not by words but by the reputation of what happens when those boundaries are crossed. Most people preach kindness because they lack alternatives. They beg for respect because they fear confrontation. They avoid conflicts because they secretly know they cannot win them. But the powerful do not fear harshness. They fear weakness. They recognize that mercy without strength is submission, that patience without boundaries is exploitation, that goodness without the ability to enforce consequences is nothing more than a costume worn by cowards. A strategist cultivates the capacity for cold decisions. He knows when to cut ties, when to end alliances, when to let relationships die, so his future can live. He knows when to deliver a final blow wrapped in silence. He knows that sometimes survival requires letting another man fall, calmly, deliberately, without guilt. Power demands the discipline to act without emotion, the clarity to choose what must be chosen, and the courage to be disliked by those who cannot understand necessity. Cruelty is not the objective. Cruelty is simply a tool the strategist refuses to discard. The 21st law is the crown of them all. Learn to exist above insult, above praise, above the noise of lesser minds. This is the final threshold, the point at which external forces lose their grip on your identity. Most people are prisoners of opinion. A compliment inflates them. A criticism shatters them. A rumor destabilizes them. They spend their lives in reaction, bending to the emotional weather systems created by others. Their minds belong to the world, not to themselves. But the truly powerful reach a form of psychological sovereignty. They do not seek validation, because validation is dependence. They do not crumble under insult, because insult is merely sound. They do not chase reputation, they construct it. They do not respond to provocation. They let it decay on its own. Their self-worth is self-generated, immune to the volatility of external judgments. This inner sovereignty is not arrogance, it is liberation. When no one's approval can elevate you, and no one's opinion can diminish you, every person loses their leverage over you. The crowd screams, the weak whisper, the envious scheme, and you remain unmoved. This is the apex of power, a mind that cannot be manipulated, provoked, or captured. A mind that answers only to its own strategy. A mind that watches the world with calm detachment, while the world watches it with fear, admiration, or confusion. These final three laws, concealed ambition, discipline, cruelty, sovereign detachment, form the highest tier of Machiavellian mastery. They refine you from strategist to architect, from competitor to ruler, from participant in the game to the silent force shaping the board itself. The man who hides his ambition becomes unstoppable. The man who can be cruel when required becomes untouchable. The man who exists above praise and insult becomes unbreakable. And once unbreakable, he becomes something far greater than powerful. He becomes inevitable. Power has never belonged to the loud, the emotional, or the impulsive. It never belonged to the man who begged to be understood, who revealed his intentions too early, who surrendered his inner world in the name of connection. Power has always belonged to the silent observer, the architect of perception, the strategist who saw the landscape for what it truly was, an arena of motives, illusions, fears, and hidden hierarchies. Those who rise do not rise because they are stronger. They rise because they understand the structure of human nature. They see the cracks beneath people's words. They see the insecurities behind their confidence. They see the desires behind their morality. And through these invisible levers, they move the world without the world ever seeing the hand that moved it. Look back at the 21 laws, and you will see a single pattern woven through them all. Control, not domination through force, but control through clarity, control of perception, control of tempo, control of relationship dynamics, control of the self. The kind of control that makes your presence heavy even when you speak softly. The kind of control that makes others adjust themselves in your shadow. The kind of control that bends situations toward you without confrontation. Most people chase external influence without realizing they are internally unstable. They want the throne but cannot control their tongue. They want loyalty but cannot manage their ego. They want respect but cannot detach from validation. They want strategy but cling to impulse. This is why they remain subjects in a world run by those who mastered their inner kingdom long before they ever touched the outer one. There comes a moment in every life where you either wake up or remain forever asleep inside the illusions of the crowd. The wakeful understand that human beings do not follow the righteous. They follow the inevitable. They follow the one whose silence carries meaning. They follow the one whose movements are few but decisive. They follow the one who sees 10 steps where others see 2. They follow the one who does not need applause to know his worth. Power is not a crown placed on your head. It is a presence that grows within you. It is the gradual hardening of the mind, the sharpening of perception, the taming of emotion, the elevation of purpose. It is the willingness to walk alone long enough for others to realize they should have followed you earlier. And when they finally do, it is no longer loyalty, it is surrender. These 21 laws are not lessons for the world you wish existed. They are the blueprint for the world that actually does. A world where people pretend to be guided by morality while quietly governed by fear, desire, and perception. A world where kindness is admired but never obeyed, where intelligence is respected but only power is followed. A world where truth is irrelevant without the strength to enforce it. Remember this the next time someone tries to provoke you, the next time someone underestimates you, the next time the crowd pulls you toward its noise. Power is not found in reaction. Power is found in restraint, in silence, in the cold clarity that separates the strategist from the spectator. In the end, the world divides into 2 kinds of people. Those who are shaped by events, and those who shape events without being seen. Make sure you become the latter. Because in the shadows where power is born, one truth echoes above all others. A man who understands human nature does not rule the world. The world rules itself around him.